I've been told I'm not as loud as I think I am.
But you also will never be told you're too quiet.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not quiet. You're right. Yeah. Well, welcome to the show, everyone. What a weird introspective way to start this review of a weird introspective album. We're a rock podcast this week.
Fitting.
Yeah, we're going to be reviewing the new Turnstile record, Never Enough. Big fans.
Because you can never get enough
Yeah,
Turnstile.
Purvis is out of town. He's seeing ballet or
Soccer.
whatever it is. Yeah, so he's in Miami to catch a soccer game. So we're going to be skipping the news. A lot of stuff happened this week. We know, but we couldn't talk about it without Purvis here. So we're going to be covering the albums coming out. And then we're going to dive. Oh, Jasper's going to cover a concert he went to. And then we're going to go right into our review of Turnstile. So this
Also
week,
have a concert I'm going to cover that I was at
oh,
/ working.
it's fine. That counts. Yeah, if you guys want to do your little concert roundup, that's fine. That is always welcome on this show. So,
Excellent.
We got 5 albums coming out from a weird cavalcade of artists, but I think there's bound to be at least one worth listening to. We have Kevin Abstract coming out with his new group album, Blush. This is apparently going to be a simultaneous Kevin Abstract release and him launching a new group, which is pretty wild considering Brockhampton's insane record and then insane implosion. So, wow.
Curious.
Very curious. Very curious. But I've also have really liked his solo stuff. We saw him last year. He was really good live. He's
always going to be known as Brockhampton.
He's always going to be known as the mastermind of Brockhampton, but at the same time, he is definitely the one with the highest profile coming out of it. Matt Champion has had some good. Mika's Laundry, his debut album, was really good, but it did way better than expected, but it's not soup as big as Heaven, So I'm curious, but I don't have a lot of faith because it's been a reckless. He's just been wilding out on social media. It feels a lot like the late Brockhampton era, and I just feel like we're gonna get another The Family or something. Onto something that I think is maybe a little bit more exciting is Pure Born, Made in Paris. I don't know if this is his debut or his sophomore album, but I know Pure Born has a legendary record across the genre, especially of the last 6-7 years. I think he is easily one of the most recognizable producers of the post 2016 rap era. Maybe not my personal favorite, but definitely someone I hold a lot of respect for. So very excited to see how that turns out. We have Russ releasing Wild with an exclamation mark. That's crazy. I didn't know people still listen to Russ.
I mean, he has Large Sean opening up for him.
That still blows my mind. Right, because I remember seeing Big Sean at Lollapalooza and being like, I did not think this many people would be here to see Big Sean.
I saw him at Summer Smash. Same thing. He had a big crowd.
And it's to think even more people are going to see Russ. We voted for Trump. We got Trump in office, so nothing's out of line.
Oops.
One I'm genuinely a little bit excited for is BK the Rula. She's a female rapper out of Florida. She was a feature on Denzel Curry's album last year. She was on the remix to the Waka Flocka Flame song. And she's also signed to his little Imperial Ultimate label. So I'm very excited to see her kind of fully in album mode. See how that sounds. And then we have the Purvis Jeff special. Jello is dropping League of My Own, his debut album.
Hey. XXL's Freshman of the Year.
Oh my God,
Jello.
that happened this week too. I think it's I think there's this perception, right, that like you're old when you stop getting excited by the freshman XXL playlist.
Or
Right?
it gets to like the point where you
Or-
don't know anyone.
That's my thing. Is that like I'm no longer even upset. It's like
Like
but
that's where I'm at.
And I remember last year, like I remember last year, me and Jeff are the only ones on the show, and we dug in. It's like, no, this is actually a decent class. Like Big X the Plug, that Mexican OT, like these people, I don't know any of them, and I don't want that to be. I don't think that's a mark on any of their quality. I didn't know who Big X the Plug was when he got announced last year, and he's clearly an artist with staying power.
I mean, you know Jello now, and then
Yeah.
Ray Vaughn,
Yeah, but Ray Vaughn, they kind of did him dirty by including him. He's been out there for a minute. I know he's
You're
technically.
not wrong.
I know he's technically eligible because he's. I think he is it like only one album or it's something like that.
Something like that.
It's like before you can't put out your first album, or it's like something like that. But like Ray Vaughn's super talented, very good, definitely having a big year. But it just feels like I don't know, like if he thinks it is a W, it's a W. But like that's just how I feel about it, right? Like I'm not offended. This isn't like putting Little Pump on it. I'm not bothered by anyone, but like even Jello. Like I didn't like that song that everyone was talking about. I forget the name of it.
Swerve.
Yeah. Like everyone was talking about Swerve, and it was either like this is great or this is awful. And I heard I'm like, this is fine but kind of boring. Like I was like, this is
I found it to be awful. But hey, he's a ball and he's not good at basketball.
I mean, that's what happens when
you're not good at basketball, you end up as a rapper.
When your dad's better at PR than you are at the sport you're supposed to play.
When your parents are rich.
Yeah, that's it. There you go.
You can be a rapper. Like that's the main thing.
When you mooch off your brothers,
yeah,
that's when you become a rapper.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Moving on.
Yeah, I mean, did you know that Baby Keem has a cousin who raps? Like, come on.
You wouldn't say.
Take a lap. That's an illegal sentence. Like
I didn't know he had a cousin that can rap also.
So like, what's Good Kid Made City? Like
a good kid made this city.
Are you telling me a good kid made this city? God damn it, Jeff! That's the joke of the fucking pot.
That was a ripple effect. You could see the joke forming. That was perfect.
That was so good.
You're telling me a good kid made this city, like. All right. Did anyone listen to the single that dropped this week? It was everywhere. Bodies with Offset and Jid. Personally,
No.
I can't stop listening to it. It's very good. It has a very corny sample that I think, as good as the song, it's like very weird because the song is good. It's not just good because Jid's on it, because it's Jid, right? Like Offset is genuinely more like on point and like more likable than he usually is. And I'm an Offset. I like Offset. But it uses the sample from Drowning Pool, like let the bodies hit the floor.
Oh God!
Like it uses that, and like once again, the song is good, but it feels weird. So it's like a weird dichotomy. I can't stop listening to it because it's got bars, but it does make me cringe a little bit. So I recommend it. It's good. I think you should check out the video. It's well shot and there's a lot of ass. But yeah, I think that's about it. It's the only single I was heading.
Yeah, exact opposite of 28 years later.
20.
Because there's a lot of
shake them
bones. A
lot of dong.
Kendall Jenner style. Shake them bones.
Jesus Christ.
Wait, I've got another Mad City joke.
Okay, here we go. Let it rip. Let it rip.
Car salesman slaps her from minivan. This bad boy can fit so much peer pressure in it.
That's a good one. That's a good one. There's plenty of room for a backseat freestyle. I couldn't I couldn't resist.
Yeah.
That's what she wants.
See, that wasn't bad either. I'm happy you're starting the show restrained. Like, it makes the ones that hit so much harder. Like,
Amazing.
all right, guys. Do you guys want to talk about your concerts a little bit? I'll shut the fuck up for a minute. You guys can go one after another. Jasper, if you want to go first.
Mine's got a bit of a story, so Jeff, go ahead.
No, mine's just a couple weeks ago. I was working Q101's picnic, and it's just a weekend festival at a local street fest, and OK Go was the headliner. And
Oh,
you
shit.
forget,
Oh, that's fun.
you forget,
I listen to
forget
them
how many-
frequently.
but you forget how many good songs they have.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Like they're playing songs, and it's like, wait, I know this one. Wait, they did this one,
yeah, no, it's.
and that's how it was with their whole set. Like,
I frequently find myself going down the OK Go music video rabbit hole where I just watch all of them.
yeah,
And it is like I think like they're like video professionals and like they have the band just to make the videos, but like it's a good band. Like I like the music a lot. It's a little corporate pop rock, but like it's very well done. Like
yeah, it's like,
it's very fun.
very underrated.
100% underrated. And are they from here?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I know they got like their first big radio playoff Q101.
They are from here.
Oh, are they? Oh.
Active since 1998. Origin Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, wow. We got to claim OK Go. Like
Yeah. Dude, I feel the way you felt about OK Go is how I felt when we went to Riot Fest and we saw Foo Fighters. I was like, oh fuck, this is a Foo Fighters song. Like
Yeah.
over and over and over
Yeah,
again.
no,
I'm a diehard Foo Fighters fan, so I respect
True.
that.
Yeah, no, but you got. I feel like that is the evidence of like legacy, right? That's a fun experience. That was the experience I had at Future. Very different artist, but
Yeah.
like it was like
I did not have that experience seeing Future.
Yeah, but like the first time we saw Future, it was like, oh shit, Like, it was just like.
True. Future was like that too.
Yeah, like his set at Summer Smash was much different than the one at Lala. I wonder how he was this year. Who knows?
Yeah.
From what I've seen, he did a day and night difference.
Dude, that's
It was comparable to how you and Purvis talked about his performance.
yeah. So, dude, his performance at Summer Smash the year we were there, fucking phenomenal. I just stand on
It was
that.
really good.
Lala was not good, but like, I stand on that, and it is interesting. That just happens sometimes.
Yeah,
That's
how Lil Wayne is.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, no, that's fun.
Jasper?
Okay, go. Did they do anything with treadmills on stage?
Oh god.
No, but they talked about the music video
That's
and how
fun.
that got them big.
Yeah, no,
Imagine,
it was like one of the first
They-
viral music videos.
They had a lot of confetti cannons. They blew a confetti cannon off like maybe 10 times throughout their whole like hour and a half performance.
sick.
Yeah,
Man, imagine the insurance of like what it would cost for the venue to insure having the treadmills on stage like that. No, thank you.
Oh,
no,
no,
I get
thank
that.
you. All right, Jasper, let's hear your show.
Yeah,
I went to a show that was very near and dear to my heart like 2 weekends ago. Day before Father's Day, my dad and I went to go see Jet, which is a band that we've talked about on the show before. Their first album, Get Born, was kind of like a smash hit, and I think a lot of people kind of consider it like one of the last great, like the potential for like genre changing like rock music before the 2000s rolled around and we got some of the post rock stuff that kind of deviated away in that sense. But yeah, Get Born was like a huge album, big cultural moment. 2003. I remember I was 6 years old. My dad would play it, and I got really into it. And they did a reunion tour for this album, and it's been 22 years. It's basically they're doing like a 20-year anniversary tour, and they extended it to the U.S. a few years later, which is what this was. So we went. It was at the Salt Shed, and we got there super early, and we got street parking for free near the Salt Shed, which is like unheard of. So this sets the stage. It was a weird night. All right. So street parking at the Salt Shed worked out. We walk up. Doors are at 7. We're there at 6:50. So we're standing outside. We go through security. We're like maybe the 20th people into the venue. Like there's a few people ahead of us. That's it. My dad goes to the restroom after like I show him around a little bit. He'd never been to the salt shed before, so we checked out the shops and whatever else. Like he loves the guitar, everything.
Yeah.
Um, So I go to the merch booth and I'm looking at the merch, and a lot of it's just like general band stuff, like Jet, the band, Australia, yada yada yada. But it's the 20th anniversary of Get Born, which is like my favorite album by them. They have the vinyl for Get Born. And I'm like, oh shit, I've been meaning to buy this. And shipping is insane because it comes from Australia usually. So I go up and I'm like, yeah, can I get a copy of the vinyl? The guy behind the counter laughs. He's like, huh. He goes and he reaches up on the wall and he pulls off the one that's on the wall. And he brings it back down to the counter and he says, this is the only one we have tonight. This was the second to last stop on the tour. It was the last copy they had for the tour, turns out. And so I get this thing. They take it down. There's nothing left in that spot. I'm like, oh shit, this is pretty cool. Like that was really lucky. Meet my dad. We go out to the floor at Salt Shed and it is empty still. Like there's people lining the very front pit like row, but it's still like relatively empty. So he and I get a spot on the right side of the stage at the very front. We're like on the guardrails. We're hanging out. And I'm like, oh shit, if we're this close and I have the only vinyl they sold tonight, could I get it signed? And my dad and I are thinking about it. I'm like, time out, hold on. You make yourself really wide. I'm going to go get a pen. I'm going to try and find a pen. I didn't have one. I go back to the guitar shop and I go to the counter. I'm like, hey, you have like a Sharpie or something I could like hold on to for a little bit? And the guy's like, yeah, sure, here you go. Gives me a Sharpie. First person I ask. Go back, enjoy the show. Fucking, who are they? Band of Skulls opened for them. Really, really good. Awesome band. Very cool. And then they come out, they do a set. Their style, their like vocals, everything is exactly like it was. Like this dude's got a genetic thing because he sounded exactly like he did 23, 22 years ago. Like no degradation, nothing. Insane show. I'm like at the front, I've got the record, whatever. And the bassist is like right in front of us. He's like 6 feet away, like on the stage. And he keeps like noticing that I have the record. I can see him like looking at it. And I'm like, all right, well, you never know. I'll hang out afterwards. They all end up going off stage. And it's like, oh shit, I missed the opportunity. And I'm just like hanging out. My dad's like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom again. You hang out and stay here. And maybe, something will happen. And then like I'm a little toward the center of the stage as people are clearing out. And the bassist is like back at the like far end of the stage. He's talking to the openers. And then I see him turn and look, and he makes eye contact with me. And he has this look of, oh shit, I forgot something. And the drummer is there, and he grabs the drummer and he goes like talks to the drummer and he points at me. Drummer runs over and takes the record from me and says, I'm gonna get this signed for you. I'll be right back. And this is the outcome. So the whole band signed it. Drummer put his little drums on there and everything. And this was like right as security was like trying to kick me out. They're like, you got to go. It's not happening. It's not happening. And they ran it out. And it was just like the most surreal experience from like being a band I used to listen to when I was like 6, 7, 8 years old to like going to a show when I'm almost 30 and like getting a record signed, which I never thought was ever going to happen.
That's huge.
Absolutely surreal.
I am so proud of you that that's in a frame. That's exactly where it should be.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's wild. I'm still just like kind of amazed that night happened. And on top of all of that, when the roadies were like clearing the stage off, they were like tossing shit into the crowd, and we got one of the bassist picks.
That's sick.
And I gave it to my dad. It's like Happy Father's Day.
Dude, that's cool, dude. Hell yeah. That's a moment for you.
It was wild. It was a very full circle moment. I'm gonna be painting this room sometime like this weekend or next week, and this is going on the wall, like over my desk or something.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, that's awesome. I only have one signed record, and it wasn't any near as interesting a story as that. Like,
oh, Killer Mike, that's pretty sick. That's like
sick.
Yeah.
My story is bullshit though, because my only story is I showed up wearing merch from the night before.
Yeah.
And my boy showed up in a Hawaiian shirt with Nickelodeon tunes on it. And Mike pointed to him out and was like, yo, I like your shirt.
Well, I mean,
I was like,
nothing can compete with Nick. Come on now.
So, yeah. All right, but I'm happy for you, dude. That sounds really, really cool. I wish something like that would happen to me with like System of a Down or something. But
One day, dude.
One day.
One day.
Yeah.
You show up
I
early,
met Killer
wild
Mike.
things can happen. Moral of the story.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Well, as a segue, I have no idea. Purvis is so good at this. I have no idea how to segue.
Well, we had a rock concert. Now let's talk about a rock album.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hardcore band extraordinaire, the Baltimore scene, Turnstile, beloved band of the show, I would say. Covered their previous projects, seen them live, covered the concert on the podcast. New album dropped 2 weeks ago or so. Maybe a little bit longer, and it's been something. Never Enough is the new album. And me, Jeff, and Jasper have just been talking about it a lot. And we wanted to review it on the show while we had a week without Purvis. So, here we are. Kind of a big shoes to fill, in my opinion, because Glow On is maybe my favorite album of the decade so far. You know, it's between that and After Hours. And like, spoiler alert, it kind of still is. I don't think this album has surpassed it. But
this is
extremely good. Like,
this is the best sequel, album, movie, or whatever that we've gotten in a long time.
Besides Dune, but yeah.
Yeah, besides Dune, but Dune 2 came out, 2 years ago?
A year.
Yeah, it feels longer.
Well, that's because of the rise of fascism anyway. Like,
you're not wrong.
But yeah, no, Never Enough definitely feels like a sequel to Glow On. Like, it feels like, because, I got into Turnstile around the Glow On kind of era, but I'd been aware of them vaguely before that. And then just in the time between the end of 2021, I think I started listening to Glow On. Like, I think I first listened to Glow On in like 2022. In the time between that, I've dived really extensively into like their previous 3 albums, Step the Rhythm, Nonstop Feeling, and the other one, Time and Space, I think.
Yeah, Time and Space, Nonstop Feeling.
Yeah. And Glow On is certainly like the most unique of their albums, and this has the same vibe compared to that. I think this one gets back to the roots a little bit more. Like, and I think that's something I really, really appreciated. There's a lot I like about this album. There's a couple things where I was like, I don't know. But beyond that, this is easily my favorite album of the year as like a complete experience. Right. So
I would agree. I think this shows the most range out of all their albums.
Yeah.
Like they came into this album more as like hardcore rock. This shows different types of rock that they can do, not just hardcore.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can definitely agree that I think this is the widest range on an album.
That's what I like about this the most, where it shows the most range and they do it good.
Yeah. I think the thing is, I think Glow On is very focused on like that synthy post-hardcore sounds. And this definitely has that sound. It definitely.
Oh, yeah.
And I would say that there are some songs on this album that sound more like that than any song on Glow On.
Yeah.
But there's also songs that are bumping to ska, bumping the pop. Go at the same time, I feel like this album, while it has like a much wider range, I think that includes having some more traditional hardcore songs and more song. It has more songs I feel like could have been on Nonstop Feeling than Glow On. Right? Like, I agree. I agree that this kind of shows that they can go in a lot of different directions. I think your take's completely correct. I think what I really appreciate about it is that it also has like that return to a couple songs or moments on the album where it feels like they're really returning to roots. And I think it really works. I think, believe it or not, I'm going to make a bold connection, but it reminds me a lot actually of Man on the Moon 3. Because the album's very long, like all the Man on the Moons are. But the thing I really appreciated about that, especially having come off of a rocky run for Kid Cudi for me, was that it was a mix of like, oh, there's a lot of songs that feel like they are from the first two Man on the Moons. And there's also a good amount of songs that feel like he's experimenting with new artists, experimenting with new sounds. And even if those songs aren't the best, I like that they're there. I like that he's still moving forward as an artist. And it kind of makes those songs that are throwbacks kind of stand out and not feel so corny. Right? I feel like on a worse album, The Void would have been a very corny song. But on Man on the Moon 3, because I think it's sequenced fairly well, and I think it has like a good diversity, I think those moments hit. And I think the same thing can be said for this album. Because it has tracks like Birds or Dull, right? Moments like the end of Sun Shower really hit. Jasper, what are your thoughts, top level, on the album?
First of all, I like that you said that Kid Cudi does keep moving forward, because indeed he does.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Second of all, I like it a
evil.
lot. Yeah, I like it a lot. I mean, it does definitely feel like an extension of the sound of Glow On I think, a very positive way. I think there are some things that I am a little nitpicky about with it, just because I was such a fan of Glow On and that sound and that style.
Yeah.
And we'll get to those.
Yeah.
But overall, I think this does everything right. I think for people who aren't the biggest fans of the hardcore sound, this is the most accessible that hardcore has ever been. And it does it in a way that's not pandering and not a cheap imitation or like a poor representation of what that genre is. It kind of like walks you into it. If I were listening to this for the first time, listening to the opening couple tracks, I would not consider this to be like a strictly hardcore album. And I think that's kind of important for getting people in the door if they're not already plugged in. But yeah, everything about the production and the I'd say the instrumentation, the vocals, all of the delivery, everything sonically feels like it picks up with and then builds upon, in terms of like the quality and how like clean tones and everything that they have, picks up and builds upon what, Glow On did. And that I really appreciate.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think it really did build on what Glow On did and kind of expanded the range. And like you can see it a lot in like different songs. I think what I kind of want to do with this one, because I do have a whole lot of praise for it, is I do want to start with there's like maybe the major disappointment for me, which is just like the back two songs. Because in my opinion, like the weakest part of Glow On is also the last two songs. Like, I think as good as the album is, I think it kind of ends with a whimper. I think this is maybe even, I don't want to say worse, because I still think they're good songs. I still like Magic Man a lot. But, like, I do think, like, the last two songs are easily, like, the weakest in my opinion. And it does just kind of have, like, an unsatisfying ending. Right? At least for me. And I think that was the only part that I was, like, really disappointed in. It's just...
I think that might change because, I mean, they are calling this a visual album. So with them putting out that movie, I think the last two songs might be more...
Yeah, but I can only review it as having listened.
No, exactly. That's my point. Like, them calling this a visual album, I think if you saw the movie... Because none of us saw it, obviously.
Yeah. I think if this was an album that was,
I think you'll see why the last two songs are where they at, where they are at because of that.
I don't think that
makes sense.
I disagree, because like if they wanted that to be the case, they would have made it easier to see the movie.
Today's day and age, you got to make your buck somehow.
Sure, but like, so do I. Like, I gotta review this somehow. Right, and it's like if I can't like, see the movie, how am I supposed to ever?
I do agree with. I do think your point's valid. I just, with them calling it a visual album, I think if you saw it, you might understand why they're there.
Sure. And listen, especially because we could talk about the visuals and just like the production design, kind of around Turnstile, which is something I think separates them from hardcore, both philosophically and like in the scene. And I think it's good. But yeah. And look, maybe that's the case. It's just like, I'm talking about my experience, just like almost every day when I go out to work out and it's like, oh, I need a lot of energy. Let me put on the newest Turnstile album. It's just like, when time is happening, shows up, it's like, oh, the energy I'm getting from this has just gone away. Right. And
Yeah.
Time is happening and I'm tired now.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. And like, once again, this is all on a curve. It's not like it becomes, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a band we would all think is bad, but like, it's not like it becomes like some cheap imitation. It's just like
Big Time Rush.
Yeah. It doesn't start to sound like Big Time Rush. It's just like, I like a big slam bang finish. Right. I think that's just like,
Also, with an album this hype, you kind of need songs to wind you down.
Sure, but like I think Glow On I think they have those like throughout it, right? Like I think that's what like Seeing Stars and I Care. I think like those are what those songs do. And I think those songs are excellent. Right?
Yeah.
And like that's the other thing is that like I think there's a lot of songs on here that I really might put above a lot of like almost the entirety of Glow On. And then it's just, there's a handful where it's like, okay, but that's like, I think that's a pretty high praise. So does anyone else have anything that they were like disappointed in, wasn't a fan of, before we move on to all the things we like?
Yes.
Go on.
Go ahead.
More like Glow On. I have nitpicks. I don't love how close melodically some of these really do feel to songs on Glow On. I think Soul feels like they reinterpreted Endless.
Yeah, I agree.
There are so many songs that sound
like they
like
are
sequels to.
Yeah. Like Light
Yeah.
Design
Songs
sounds
Glow
like a
On.
sequel to Mystery.
Totally.
Yeah, no, definitely. And there are some songs where it's like, what I was shocked is there was like, there's not really a song that to me sounds like Underwater Boy or Alien Love Call, which
I think there's one that sounds like Alien Love Call.
which one?
Which one is that here? I mean, Seeing Stars has a very similar vocal tone.
I
it.
think vocal tone, yes. I can give you that specific for sure. I just meant like Seeing Stars is still very upbeat to me,
I
but
thought
then-
Magic Man sounded similar to Alien Love Connection
oh,
or Love Call.
I'll
Magic
give you
Man.
that. I'll give you
Yeah.
that. I think that's fair. I'm willing to be convinced about that. Like 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Just like how the vocals sound between the two. I think
I
they
agree.
sound so similar.
So with how similar a lot of the stuff in this is, thematically, musically, sonically, whatever, vocally, why did it take 4 years to get it?
because
Is
they
my
tore
main
so much.
gripe. That's my gripe though. Like
Yeah.
this feels like it could be like a double album deluxe version, honestly, in terms of how close a lot of the stuff is. And I don't know. I feel like if you're going to keep the hype from Glow On going, you put out an album 2 years later, not 4 years later. It's just like that kind of bums me out a little bit.
I feel that. I give them a lot of credit pass on that just because of how much they tore.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
and yes, you're right that these songs are very similar to Glow On. Like that is absolutely, to me, it's like almost not even a criticism because I think they are like just more interesting because they all seem like a song from Glow On with like a more interesting angle,
Agreed.
right? Like
Agreed.
right, like Light Design is like let's really push that synth sound. Like the one with the trumpets kind of feels like Don't Play, because like Don't Play kind of had like that
Yeah, Dreaming.
yeah, Dreaming kind of sounds like a sequel to Don't Play, because Don't Play kind of had like that. I used to be able to pull up the genre, but it's like a Spanish genre kind of rhythm in it. And then like this one kind of pulls that out with the trumpets and it kind of ends up sounding very ska.
Yeah, totally.
So I think like they are pushing, but yeah, it is like shockingly similar.
Yeah. I figured out, I recommended Look Out For Me a few weeks ago when this
Yeah.
album first came out. I figured out what that sounds like to me.
Yeah.
That kind of like wavy backing sound that
Yeah.
exists is very Tame Impala. like
Yeah.
very Tame Impala.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. And I think a Tame Impala comparison to this is really, really fair. Like I Glow On and Never Enough specifically.
Yeah.
And like I'm thinking now, I think like the two songs to me that feel unique. I think there's maybe two, maybe three that don't feel super Glow On to me are Dull Birds and Slow Dive. But because those to me feel much more old school Turnstile. Like they feel a little bit more
Birds feels old school Turnstile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slow Dive feels like like a song like that, like with the saturation way turned up. And I feel like Dull is also very Dull to me sounds a lot like their song Gravity in like a very good way. Like in a way much different than I think way more build off than some of the connections we've been saying. But yeah. I think that's fair. And I think, it is there is something to be said about hardcore being like a genre where it is very much about like how you do it versus like what it is, right?
Mhm.
Like being a hip hop podcast and coming from that, I think we could have a bias towards like cutting edge originality because that is really like the thing in hip hop. When like hardcore has like kind of a culture of like doing things, like kind of like doing things in a certain way. Right. That's why, like, when you start playing metal music, but involving breakdowns and shit like that, that's why they start calling it metalcore or, all that shit. So, but I don't think that that's unfair to, like, bring up in comparison to this album.
Yeah. I think this album could have been shorter.
I agree. But I don't think it's
I don't think it's not fairly long, but I do think that it could have had maybe 5-7 minutes cut off.
Well, I think that's a great transition to the number one thing I want to talk about because there is one thing that this album has quite a bit of that Glow On didn't have anything, and that is ambient flute sections. Like,
Fuck yeah.
Now, here's the thing. I'm pro. As I've been going through listening to this, when I sit down and I want to hear the album, I have no problem with the little ambient kind of like endings to like Never Enough, Look Out for Me, Sun Shower. Sun Shower I think is the best one because it's the one that I think drifts the furthest because it gets to an actual flute solo. But it's also only like a minute and a half. Like it's not super duper long. And I feel
Sun
like
Shower the song?
No, like just like the flute section at the end.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because
Right.
Sun Shower the song is 3 minutes and 40 seconds.
Yeah. But like it like fades into like that ambient thing like the other two do, and the other two do it for like 2+ minutes, which I think for Never Enough it totally works, especially like when I'm dialed in for like the whole album. Look Out for Me. Love that song. Really, really like that song. That song is mostly ambient noise though by the end of it. Like, yes. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm talking about how well I think it's done. I think that is the one where I'm like, you could have cut 2 minutes out of this. But I think like that was something I was not expecting, and I think is very untraditional. And I did end up liking it after I got acclimated to it after listening to the album a couple times. What did you guys think about the Andre 3000 sections?
Honestly, I didn't notice them until you kind of just mentioned them.
Wow. You didn't notice a flute solo in the middle of a hardcore album?
I mean, I guess I wasn't really paying that much attention.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I think this is the kind of dynamics that a genre like this needs to stay fresh. Because if you keep the energy level at 100 the entire time, nothing feels intense. Nothing feels exciting anymore. You get bored of how intense it is.
Yeah.
But this is like the dynamic you need to pull out of it and then come back into it. And I think that's great because the build into Never Enough is awesome. And then you get this very slow build and then the fade into Soul where you get the drum, the kick first and then everything else. And like Soul would not feel like, and I do think that's one of the weaker songs just because of how much it feels like Glow On. It
I
doesn't feel
agree.
like, yeah, it's definitely not one of my favorites. But like the fact that it builds from that break, if it came directly after the like heavy chorus parts of Never Enough, it would feel like nothing. It would
Yeah.
not be exciting or interesting in any way. And it's
Right.
like it's the lead in that gives it that energy and makes it exciting. It like forces you to pay attention to it.
Yeah. And there was a lot of really cool transitions in Glow On, but I think like this is like kind of like delving into a completely different genre of music. I think pushes it quite a bit.
Yeah.
And like I think, you know, on Glow On, what it did to kind of keep that, to kind of have like a, because you're right, you can't be at 100% all the time. You have to take breaks. You have to have some kind of dynamic range or everything just becomes noise. And in Glow On, that was more, they would do songs like Underwater Boy or Alien Love Call or like some of the slower ones.
Yeah.
So it seems like, you know, traditionally it would be like Never Enough and then I Care and then Soul. But I do think this is the better way to do it. Now, do we want to talk about I Care? Because I feel like this is going to be a controversial one, even though I don't know. We probably all like the song. But I this was one that took me a minute to kind of wrap my mind around.
I love it.
I
liked it right off the get go.
I think it's just like very poppy. It's a very
It's
it
yeah.
is very
It's very radio friendly. Yes,
it's very poppy. It's very, but listen, it grew on me. It was never a bad song. It was just like at first it was like, oh, this is like very much like a radio song. And then I started to appreciate it more, especially as like I was like just listening to interviews and stuff. And you know, there is certainly a history of pop crossover in that East Coast hardcore scene.
This
Like,
to me, this feels like an '80s rock pop song.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I get that.
That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
take.
So it has absolutely grown as what, I don't know if it's in my top tier favorite songs on the album, but it has grown. And it also is another song where it doesn't sound like a song from Glow On. Like, you know, for all that exact thing I rejected is a genuinely new sound that they're bringing. So I can't get mad at it for that reason.
Yeah. I mean, I think this song, I mean, despite the fact that it has like a bit of a ska inflection with like the way the guitar is set up and everything else,
Yeah.
like it very much reminds me of Underwater Boy, actually.
I Care.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
Yeah.
it is the closest now that you think about it.
Yeah. Because Underwater Boy has that same kind of like poppy delivery and like the lyrics, the vocal styling is not super shouty like you get in a lot of hardcore stuff.
No.
It's more so you get that kind of like melodic delivery. But I think it's a great song. I think the lyrics are super catchy, and I think this is one of those songs that's going to be on repeat all summer, and it's going to be across like different genres of people who might not really be into specifically like Turnstile and hardcore, but you're going to get people from all over who are like into this song. I think it's going to have the Luther effect just on a smaller scale.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
think that's totally fair. And it certainly is like one of the more popular songs on the album. It's the one every person, like, you know, because we all follow 1,000 people we don't know on social media. Every person I don't know who's like posting this album on social media is posting that song.
I posted that song and you said, yes, good.
Yeah, because I wanted to make sure you were listening to the album.
Yeah, dude. I've listened to this probably the only thing I've listened to more since in terms of review prior to this year has been Hurry Up Tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God. I do want to touch back up on Hurry Up Tomorrow because I have very conflicting feelings on it.
Okay.
But yeah, and same. They're competing for my favorite album of the year. But yeah, it's been very much on repeat for me. And yeah, I can agree with that. To me, I think I don't know if I agree with everything you said comparing I Care to Underwater Boy. I everything you said. To me, I think the big difference was Underwater Boy seemed kind of like weird and like as unapproachable as that album got, and this feels like the most approachable. But
Interesting.
I think like the points you brought up are all completely valid. So yeah, I mean, this was maybe the one that grew on me the most over the weeks. Maybe in the first week I was like, it's okay, but then I've realized that despite the Sonics, it is a very well written song. It is a very tightly written, radio friendly pop song, and doing that while, as much as it wasn't my favorite, it also didn't sound like it was like of violating their sound or anything. And like I think adding those pop elements to hardcore is hard. Hardcore is not like hip hop in that it doesn't take to the pop format very strongly.
Yeah.
Now, I think after that, I think we hit like my favorite sequence on the album, which is Dreaming, Light Design, and Dull. That shit goes hard. Like, dude, when he yells, "I'm going dull," blank eyes, insane, throwing chairs. I cannot wait to be in a pit.
Don't break a hip.
I will. I would die in a turnstile pit, actually. But yeah. So I think like moving on to like highlights, I think that is for me the highlight is Dreaming, Light Design, and Dull. Because I do like Sun Shower. I think it does the whole second sequence thing super well. And I like everything. I think Ceilings is like the song I would just cut. It's like a weird minute and a half long little bit.
Not even a minute and a half. It's a minute 13.
Okay, you're going to bust my balls for 17 seconds?
Yeah, because like 17 seconds can be a long time.
No, it can't.
I'm in radio. I can do a lot in 17 seconds.
Yeah.
Hey, yo.
I'm sure you
I
can.
have a take on this one too. I think this album is sequenced extremely well. I think Ceiling belongs on it. I don't think it's in the right spot. I think this should have gone between Birds and Slow Dive as a breakup in the energy that those two songs have together. Because those are like some of the higher energy, more like classic-y, hardcore songs on this project.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna talk dynamics and like revving people up with something like high energy, that's the kind of thing you want to take a break for,
And then like look out for me with Breaking the Seeing Stars really nicely.
Yeah, because like I thought the same thing about The Time Is Happening. Put that in between Birds and Slow Drive.
I wouldn't hate that either.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I would not hate that either. Yeah, listen, Birds and Slow Dive are also two highlights of the album for me. I love both of those songs. But I agree with what you guys are saying. They are both two.
If you had something slower to break that up.
Yeah. I think maybe they get away with it a little bit because both of those songs are fairly short.
Yeah.
But especially because like Birds is mostly that build up with the drone and then the cowbell. Once it actually drops, like there's only like a minute left in the song, minute and a half maybe.
Yeah, I mean they really are kind of repeating themselves a little bit in terms of the way this album plays out, because the way these two are positioned as being like very kind of like classic-y hardcore sound toward the latter half or the back half is almost exactly what they did with TLC on Glow On. It's like TLC is an extremely like unforgiving hardcore song, and that's like right at the back section. It's like they're mirroring the structure of the last album.
Yeah, a little bit.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah.
And like I think the biggest criticism you can give of this album is that it's very similar without being better.
Yes.
I think the thing is though, like Glow On was not a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 album.
No, it was not.
So getting even close a second time is impressive. And like to me, like I don't know, like I maybe put this a hair below Glow On, because to me, I think like there are some songs on it that I think I might like even more than Glow On. Light Design, Dull, Slow Dive, Birds, like our top tier Turnstile songs for me. But at the same time, like I think Glow On was a little bit more focused. Yeah, it didn't have the same dynamic range. I think that's a completely fair point to bring up. But I think it was much more focused on like that, let's make this pretty pink hardcore kind of sound. And I think like one of the few things I do really like that I think was carried over is kind of like the impression that the album cover is going to give you. The thing I loved about Glow On is that if you have no idea what hardcore is or no idea what Turnstile is, and you look at the cover, it doesn't tell you anything.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how this one is.
But if you know what you're getting into, if you know what Turnstile is and you know it's going to be like that synthy, sweet, almost poppy kind of flavor of hardcore, it fits perfectly. Yeah. And this one it's a little bit more shimmery. It has a lot more layers in my opinion. I mean, that's not really opinion, that's a fact, but to me it sounds like it does.
It gets me the gut feeling that they make this kind of like a trilogy.
Yeah, and then
totally.
And that's my question, right? Is like, do we foresee like another album that feels like this?
Yeah, because I mean, you got the pink sky, you got the blue sky, and then what else? Do they do a red sky?
And then it's all birds. It's all hardcore, like,
or
yeah,
like.
And
Got to think of another color. Well, no, because they did pink. That'd be too close to red.
What about like orange?
That's what I was thinking. Maybe like an orange or green.
Green's close.
Green.
Yeah, purple.
Purple. Like kind of similar to what Weezer did.
Yeah.
With the Blue Album. All that.
Yeah. I mean, like, and that's the thing is that like
that.
As similar as it is, like it was just so well done and still so. I feel like on a sonic level, still pushing things. I think that's where it was pushing things. Is like, what sounds are we bringing into like this structure? But you're right. Like, maybe it is a little too close, both in structure of the album and structure of the songs itself. Right? Like maybe you do one but not the other. But for me though, that this is all stuff that I listen to it and it's just like, I don't know. I think another thing is that often when you have artists like kind of do this, usually when it's an artist who is making a one-dimensional sound and they're just making that again and again and again, usually it can make the previous work feel very disposable. Yeah. Right? Like this is a insane comparison, but I think about like an NBA YoungBoy. Right? Like, but to me, it still feels like Glow On and Never Enough live together. Never Enough, as close as it is not so close that like I'm not gonna listen. I'm gonna have to choose between listening to the two of them. You know what I mean?
These are two albums where you're gonna have to make a playlist and just put it on shuffle.
Yeah, I've given Turnstile the artist playlist thing where I just put every single song they make on one playlist. I listen to it all on shuffle.
Same.
But
same.
Yeah.
For this episode alone, I put both of them on a separate playlist, and it's like hour 15 total, God, and it's like, oh
God. But yeah, and then I gotta be honest though, I would love if they went back to the nonstop feeling sound though, something more stripped back, but maybe more disciplined. Like they've clearly grown very much as like songwriters. And like making like just like really good, punchy, capable songs. I think that's where they are more so than they were when they made Nonstop Feeling. I would love if they did an album that had like that level of songwriting to it, but had the more stripped back sonics of Nonstop Feeling. And yeah. And the other thing is that there was a personnel change between the albums, and you couldn't tell. Yeah, the lead guitarist left after Glow On. And then
I didn't realize that.
I forget her name, but she's the woman. She stepped into tour for that.
Yeah.
She played.
Yeah.
And like, listen, some of her solos are fucking insane. Like, I don't notice a difference backwards or forwards, right? It is certainly not bad, like by any stretch. But I think that was the other thing is that I think it's interesting that it's like the first time in their career they've had a personnel change and the sound changed the least.
Yeah.
Between
albums. That's rare. You don't see that much often.
Yeah, that's very rare. Like, but all in all, like, I don't know. I did really fuck with this album. I gotta say.
It's been on repeat.
Repeat. Yeah. And I know we're all intending getting tickets and going to see him at Northerly Island. Couldn't keep me from being there.
When does that go live?
Oh, they've been on sale, but you can find them for pretty much, 4 or 5% above like retail. They're like,
Damn, okay.
It's like $100.
I gotta get one.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna be getting them in July. I've got to just like weigh out like when I'm gonna go because there's just a lot of very expensive concerts. I still have to get System of a Down. I still got to get Riot Fest if I'm gonna do Riot Fest. I already did Lala and Tyler, and I still got to do Wu-Tang. I still got to decide if I can do Wu-Tang.
True.
Yeah. So, but I'm gonna give this an A minus. I'm gonna give it.
I'm going A.
I'm gonna give it. That's the thing, right? Is that like if I'm actually going based on like how I feel, I'm going an A because the difference in pure enjoyment between this and Glow On is like a hair.
Yeah.
But talking with other people who think about music the way I do, it is like some of this shit is true though. Like does sound very much like Glow On, and that's not really a criticism I can refute. It just doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me because they pretty much came out and said this is a sequel to Glow On.
Right. Yeah. Yes, I agree with that.
Oh, them coming out and saying that like eased my mind and kind of figured it's going to sound the same.
And ultimately that is what I wanted. I just wish the songs themselves didn't sound like just so one the
yeah.
one. Right. Yeah. And like
understandable.
Here's the thing. If we all came in here and we were like, oh, this song, we all thought they were different Glow On songs, that would at least be like close, like, oh, well, at least it's different enough. No, we were all like, nope, that one's that one, that one's that one. Like,
yeah. Never enough, more like different enough.
Yeah. Never Enough was probably like one of the biggest, like, it's the only real change is that this one has a title track.
Yes.
Yeah.
Should have called the last one Mystery. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going A minus. Jasper, did you give?
I'm going A minus as well. Yeah. I think it's hard to improve on something so great. I think this does a lot to strike out in new musical directions, but I think they can't really get away from their sound, both to their benefit and their detriment.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and they did cultivate a very unique sound. The thing is that like, and it's a completely different world. It's also a completely different creative process, right? Like I know hip hop is a team sport, but like a band is way more of a team sport.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just very different, but yeah, I agree. So Glow On, Turnstile, giving it an A. Like absolutely. All right. Do we want to do our recommendations?
Let's do it.
All right. I'll go first.
Go ahead.
So both my songs are kind of related to what's going on in the world.
Here we go.
First one is This Is America, Childish Gambino.
Amazing.
Yeah, This Is America.
All right. Both of my songs are going to be recent releases.
Nice.
All right. So my last one is the song I've been listening to. Low key, like, this is probably the only album that's going to top Turnstile for me in terms of just pure repetition. I'm recommending So Be It by Clips. Dude,
nice.
That beat, that Arabic song that they flipped for the beat, insane. Jasper?
My first one, I'm gonna go with. Well, there's other news we didn't really talk. We didn't get into news this week, but there's another item we're gonna have to talk about next week, and that is that Frank Ocean has resurfaced.
Oh yeah, this is something we could have talked about this week.
Yeah,
well, we didn't need to save that for Purvis.
We'll save it for Purvis. Purvis, the olive branch. Frank Ocean has surfaced from said ocean and has dropped a vinyl version of Channel Orange, an album that is, I think, near and dear to all of our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
I picked one up today. It's not the original cover, but it'll do. Yeah. So I'm going Pilot Jones.
Oh, that's fun. That's a great song. I was going to say, oh yeah, he dropped Cock Rings too. Like,
Cock rings too. The electric boogaloo.
yeah. It's like we got cock rings too before an album, inshallah. Like,
Okay. The song Godspeed, but the word Godspeed is replaced with cock rings.
Yeah.
That's it. Turn the video off.
We can't follow that genius. Jeff, give your second fucking recommendation.
Well, my second recommendation is going to be a song by Sublime, April 29th, 1992.
Ooh.
It's based on the riots in Los Angeles on that date.
Great picks.
Told you, it's based on what's going on in America today.
That's what I did, yeah. My next one, also a recent pick. Some artists that get a lot of love on the podcast, specifically from Jeff. They collabed. Easily one of my favorite kind of radio songs of the year. That's going to be All Gas, No Brakes, Teddy Swims, and Big X The Plug.
Oh, it's a great song.
Great song. Very smooth, very fun. Hell yeah.
Jeff, I've got you beat for relevant songs to what's going on right now. And this this is a song that goes back to 1980. I'm going Vince and the Valiants, Bomb Iran. The classic bomb Iran. Bomb. It's
But we shouldn't bomb Iran, just to be clear. We shouldn't.
However, that happened.
Yes, that did happen. Like,
yeah, my feed is World War III memes and very little else, and I'm not mad at it.
dude, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was starting World War III 2 years ago. Anyway.
An even better trick was making B2s look so fucking cool.
Okay.
Why they gotta look like that? The tactical Dorito.
I don't know. All I know is this. I'm going to redacted the president. Anyway, that's been the Unpaid Nobodies. Short one, like a Turnstile song. Like, subscribe.
Don't bomb Iran.
Like, subscribe, tell us we suck. Tell us what we missed. Tell us we're noobs. I don't care. Just engaged. It's all we need. All right.
Oh, your thoughts on Turnstile?
Yeah. Good night.